Okay, so imagine if you could just tell your browser to do anything you wanted, like book those concert tickets everyone's fighting over, or even order groceries.
And it could just, like, actually do it.
Yeah, that's what OpenAI is claiming their new operator can do, basically turning your browser into this all-powerful AI assistant.
And it's been making headlines everywhere.
Seriously, we've got articles from Wired,
Oh.
TechCrunch, The Verge, even the Wall Street Journal, so we're going to break it all down for you today. All the hype and the real potential.
Yeah, because this isn't just another chatbot. We're talking about AI that OpenAI says can actually see and interact with websites like a human.
So no more struggling with clunky online forms or missing out on limited time deals.
That's the promise, anyway. Operator is built on something called a computer using agent model, or CUA. It basically combines vision and reasoning to actually, use the web.
So it's like a digital assistant that lives in your browser.
Exactly. But there's a catch. Right now, it's only available as a web app for ChatGPT Pro subscribers.
Oh, so you have to already be paying for ChatGPT Pro.
Yeah, and then you have to shell out an extra $200 a month to access Operator.
$200 a month. Wow. So people must be expecting some pretty amazing things from this thing. What can it actually do?
Well, the articles mention some pretty basic stuff, like booking concert tickets, ordering groceries, making restaurant reservations.
Okay, so the typical digital assistant stuff.
Right. But then it gets more interesting. There are reports of it moving corporate data, booking train tickets across Europe.
Hold on, booking train tickets across Europe, that sounds way more complicated than just picking a restaurant.
Yeah, and there are even stories about it helping someone plan a whole vacation itinerary.
Whoa. So we're not just talking about convenience anymore. This could be handling some seriously complex tasks.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so potentially groundbreaking. In theory, anything you can do in a browser, Operator could potentially learn to do as well.
But how does it actually work? Does
Right.
it, like, read the web pages and understand them like we do?
Not exactly. It takes screenshots of the web page and then uses that visual information combined with like all the stuff it's already learned to figure out how to interact with the site.
So it's kind of like playing a video game. Seeing the screen and knowing which buttons to press.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And just like with a video game, Operator is constantly learning and getting better through something called reinforcement learning.
So the more it does, the smarter it gets, the better it can handle even more complex stuff.
Precisely. And as it gets more data, it can even start to personalize its actions based on your preferences. Imagine Operator booking the perfect hotel room for you, or suggesting a new restaurant you might love based on your browsing history.
Okay, that's where it starts to get a little mind-blowing. It's not just automating tasks, it's understanding our tastes and anticipating our needs.
And that's what makes this technology so potentially transformative. It's not just about saving time, it's potentially changing how we interact with the whole digital world.
But with all this power come some pretty big questions, right? Are we really ready to just hand over control of our digital lives to an AI? I mean, what if it goes rogue?
Those are definitely valid concerns. But OpenAI says they've built in some safety features to prevent that kind of thing.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, Operator requires your confirmation for any major actions.
So it's not totally autonomous. That's reassuring, at least.
Right. And they're also saying that it won't handle things like financial transactions or job applications.
Okay, that makes sense. Things that really require human judgment.
Exactly. But even with those safeguards, I think a lot of people are going to feel uneasy about an AI having access to all their personal data.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel a little Big Brother-ish.
Definitely raises some important questions about privacy and security in this new age of AI.
Like, are we really sure this thing won't decide to drain our bank accounts and book us a one-way ticket to Siberia?
Hopefully not. But in all seriousness, security is obviously a huge concern for any AI that's handling sensitive information.
It's like giving someone a key to your house. You want to be really sure you can trust them.
Absolutely. And OpenAI is saying that they're monitoring for misuse and building in layers of protection to prevent unauthorized access.
But no system is foolproof, right?
Right.
Especially as these AIs get more sophisticated, so do the hackers.
Exactly. It's a constant cat and mouse game, and that's why it's so important for users to also be smart about their own security.
Using strong passwords and being cautious about the information they share.
Exactly. Those basic practices become even more important in a world where AI agents are becoming more common.
And speaking of which, we mentioned earlier that OpenAI isn't the only one working on this kind of technology.
Right. On the same day that Operator launched, another company called Perplexity released a similar AI agent for Android devices.
So it's like an AI arms race.
Ew.
Everyone's rushing to build the ultimate digital assistant.
It certainly seems that way, and this trend is only going to accelerate. Think about Apple putting more AI into Siri, or all the other companies working on autonomous AI.
It really makes you wonder, are we heading towards a future where AI handles most of our digital tasks?
And if so, what does that mean for us? What do we do with all that freed up time and mental energy?
That's a pretty mind-blowing thought. But before we get too carried away with the future, let's talk about some of the potential downsides of all this. Because handing over control of our digital lives to an AI can't be all sunshine and roses, right?
You're right. There are definitely some risks and challenges to consider, and we should probably start by looking at the specific safety measures that OpenAI claims are built into Operator, because that's probably what everyone's thinking about right now. So, like, to put your mind at ease a little bit, OpenAI says Operator needs you to okay things before it does anything big.
Okay, so it's not going to just like book a flight without asking me first.
Right. It needs your confirmation.
So there's like some level of human control still.
Yeah, they're really emphasizing that.
What else? What other safeguards are there?
Well, they're also saying it won't handle anything involving money, like financial transactions.
Oh, that's good, because that's what would really freak me out.
Yeah, or things like job applications, important decisions that AI probably shouldn't be making on its own.
Right. Decisions that really need a human touch.
Exactly. But I think even with all that, some people are still going to be hesitant about letting an AI have access to like all their online data.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of trust we're putting in this thing.
It definitely raises some big questions about privacy and security in this whole AI era.
It's like, how do we know this thing isn't going to turn into Skynet and take over the world?
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
But seriously, security is a huge concern when you're talking about AI interacting with, our most personal stuff.
It's like, are we really ready to give an AI the keys to our digital kingdom?
It's a good question, and OpenAI is saying that they're doing everything they can to prevent misuse.
Like, what specifically are they doing?
Well, they say they're monitoring for any, like, suspicious activity, and they're building in extra layers of protection to stop anyone from getting in who shouldn't be.
But even the best security systems can be hacked, right? Especially as these AIs get more advanced, the hackers are going to get more advanced too.
It's a constant arms race, and that's why it's so important for us as users to be smart about our own security, too.
So it's not just OpenAI's responsibility, it's on us too.
Exactly. We can't just blindly trust this technology. We have to be proactive.
Like making sure we've got strong passwords and being careful about what we share online.
Right. All that basic stuff becomes even more important when you're using an AI agent.
Because the stakes are higher.
Exactly. And speaking of other companies working on this kind of technology, we mentioned earlier that Perplexity released their own AI agent.
Yeah, the same day as Operator, right? What was it called again?
I don't think they gave it a specific name, but it works on Android devices.
So it's like the Android version of Operator.
Kind of.
Huh.
But it shows that this isn't just a one-off thing. Lots of companies are jumping on the AI agent bandwagon.
It's like a gold rush.
Oh.
Everyone's trying to strike it rich with the next big AI assistant.
It's definitely a hot area right now, and it's only going to get hotter as these tools become more powerful and easier to use.
And as they become more integrated into our lives.
Right. Like, think about how much we rely on Siri or Alexa already.
It's only a matter of time before these AI agents become just as ubiquitous.
And maybe even more so, since they can potentially do a lot more than just set timers and play music.
Right. We could be heading toward a future where we have AI agents for everything. Travel agents, financial advisors, personal shoppers.
The possibilities are pretty much endless.
And a little bit terrifying. You can think about it.
It definitely raises some big questions, like, if AI is handling all these tasks for us, what does that mean for our own skills and abilities?
Do we become so reliant on AI that we forget how to do things ourselves?
It's a valid concern. It's like using GPS all the time. You might get to your destination faster, but you might also lose your sense of direction.
And maybe even your sense of adventure. Like, what's the point of exploring if an AI can just tell you the best route?
It's a good analogy. There's definitely a balance to be struck. We need to embrace the convenience of AI without losing sight of our own agency.
And our own humanity.
Right. We need to make sure that AI enhances our lives, not diminishes us.
And that it benefits everyone, not just a select few.
That's a really important point. Because if these tools are only available to those who can afford them, it's just going to widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots.
It'll create a digital divide, where some people have access to all these amazing AI-powered tools while others are left behind.
And that's not the future we want.
No, definitely not. So how do we prevent that from happening? How do we make sure that everyone benefits from this technology?
Well, I think it starts with education. People need to understand how this stuff works, what the potential risks are, and how to use it safely and responsibly.
So we need to be informed users, not just passive consumers.
Exactly. And we need to demand transparency and accountability from the companies that are developing these technologies.
We need to make sure that they're putting people first, not just profits.
Right. And that they're considering the long-term implications of their actions, not just the short-term gains.
Because this technology has the potential to fundamentally change our society.
For better or for worse, it's up to us to decide which direction we want to go in.
And that's a pretty heavy responsibility.
It is. But it's also an exciting opportunity. We're on the cusp of something truly transformative, and we have the chance to shape it in a way that benefits all of humanity.
And that's what we should be striving for.
Absolutely. A future where AI empowers us, connects us, and helps us create a more just and equitable world.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here today. We've talked about the potential benefits of AI agents, the risks, the ethical considerations, the economic implications. But now I want to bring it back to you, the listener.
Yeah.
What does this all mean for your life? How do you see these technologies impacting you personally? So we've talked about all this potential, but let's get down to brass tacks. If you had something like Operator, what would you actually use it for?
Well, you could start with those little annoying tasks, the things everyone hates doing online.
Like what?
Booking appointments, ordering groceries, like we said before. Or how about comparing prices for that new gadget you want?
So basically like a superpowered to-do list.
Yeah, but it goes beyond just like checking boxes. Imagine it analyzing your spending and suggesting ways to save money.
Ooh, now that's interesting. My bank definitely wouldn't complain about that.
Or it could even just book that vacation you've been talking about based on your browsing history so you don't have to do all the research.
Okay, now that's tempting. No more endless hours on travel websites.
Right. Think about all the time and energy you'd save. You could finally start that side project you keep putting off.
Or just relax for once.
Exactly. That's the real power of this tech, right? It's not just about being efficient. It's about freeing us up to do the things we actually want to do.
But isn't there a risk we become too dependent on it? Like, do we lose some of our own skills if we're letting AI do everything for us?
That's a good point. It's like anything else, there's got to be a balance.
We can't let AI turn us into couch potatoes.
Right. We need to be mindful, make sure we're using it to enhance our lives, not like take over completely.
So how do we find that balance? How do we make sure AI is empowering us, not making us lazy?
I think education is a big part of it. We got to understand how this stuff works, what its limits are.
We can't just blindly trust it.
Exactly. We need to be informed users, ask the right questions, hold these companies accountable.
So we have a role to play too, not just the developers.
Absolutely. We need to make sure AIs is used ethically, responsibly, for the benefit of all.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about our values as a society.
Yeah, we got to figure out what kind of future we want. Do we want AI to help us reach our full potential, or do we want it to, control us?
That's a pretty deep question.
It is, and we need to be having these conversations NW before it's too late.
So what can our listeners do to be part of this?
Stay informed, for one. Keep learning about AI, how it's developing. Don't be afraid to try out these new tools, but think critically about them.
Don't just accept them blindly.
Right. And share your thoughts, your concerns. Make your voice heard. Hold these companies accountable.
It sounds like we've got some homework to do.
We do, but it's exciting stuff. This is a whole new frontier, and we have the chance to shape it in a way that benefits everyone.
Well, on that note, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, from the nitty-gritty of how these AI agents work to the big philosophical questions they raise.
It's a lot to take in, but hopefully this has given everyone something to think about.
If you're listening, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your hopes and fears about the future of AI? How do you think it will impact your life? Join the conversation, share your perspective. Because this is a journey we're all taking together, and the more informed we are, the better choices we can make. Until next time, keep exploring.